Hi, welcome to the Old Town Podcast. My name is Sepe and I'm here with Hesam, and this is the first episode of the English iteration of our Old Town Podcast. And for today, we have a very special guest. We are here with the one and only Ali Green and Wild. Ali, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming. I wish we could have had you under better circumstances, but unfortunately, on Sunday, all of Australia was shocked. We were all saddened. There was an act of cowardly terrorism that happened against the
It
Jewish
was.
community.
Yeah.
It was very shocking. It was very unexpected. Well, I mean, it was kind of predictable, honestly.
Kinda, yeah, because we warned Australian government for last 3 years. Islamic regime has got lots of agent here. They're going to do something against Jewish community.
Of
But all
course,
the
yeah.
time they said, no, everything is under control. There is no, the actual threat against, Jewish community. And it was two terrorist attack. One of them was in Louis Continental restaurant. The other one was in Adas Israel synagogue. We were lucky. No one, actually lost his life or her life. But unfortunately, this time, 15 innocent people, including 10 years old girls and 88 years old Holocaust survivor. Just imagine, Nazi couldn't, kill him, but he was killed by Islamic terrorists here in Australia, 2025.
Yeah, it's very disappointing, and we just want to express our sympathies to all the families who have lost loved ones, and we hope for the quick recovery of those who are injured. Um, Ali, did you want to introduce yourself? Maybe say a few words before we begin the program.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Ali. I'm a proud Australian Iranian patriot. I've lived in Australia my entire life. And to put it simply, what I saw on Sunday, the 14th of December, I have never seen in my entire life, and never have I thought, will I witness such grotesque, erroneous, disgusting abhorrence in the greatest country in the world. But we did see it. And I can only hope, I can only hope it's going to wake people up to see the reality of such an ideology that is a matter of today now, good versus evil. This is no longer about right wing politics versus left wing politics. Where do you align on the political spectrum? This is good versus evil.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, this is not a political debate. This is not a political matter. It's a battle and debate between those who choose life and those who sanctify death. I think that
Absolutely.
that's a good way to put it. Just something that I observed just from where we've been heading since October 2023 is that the Australian government, unfortunately, doesn't wake up and acknowledge certain things unless something really bad happens. With the IRGC, the Iranian community spent years, 3 years, trying to warn them that the IRGC is a terrorist organization. It's an imminent threat to Australians inside Australian soil. And they didn't do anything. They didn't see the threat. It only took terrorist activity by the IRGC for them to wake up and say, okay, no, this is an actual threat. Let's actually act. Let's legislate. Let's put them on the terror list. Do you agree with that observation, Ali?
And needless to also mention the fact that not only were there terrorist attacks, there have been and there is still countless threats against the Jewish diaspora and the Iranian diaspora, including myself. And there's been many cases of kidnappings against dissidents who speak up against Islamism and the Islamic regime occupying Iran, which is arguably the greatest threat, the largest global scale terroristic threat which includes also Australia. As part of their own constitution, they seek to expand their Islamic revolution, being Islamic hegemony, throughout the globe, and that includes Australia. And there's been many cases in Australia. We can't ignore it anymore. And you mentioned the Australian government. Absolutely. This is where it unfortunately comes down to a political game for them. Unfortunately, and I know a lot of people won't like me saying this, but it is a political game where they don't want to lose votes. They don't want to lose the Muslim vote, which is arguably quite powerful. And by simply declaring all these different organizations as terrorist organizations, which they are, that will upset a lot of people. But like we mentioned at the beginning, this is a matter of good versus evil. This is not a matter of political votes. That's what makes it so disgusting, morally disgusting. And I am absolutely in shock, to say the least.
Yeah, Ali, I want to just add some things. It's not about just the Muslim, the community. They want to have lots of, useful idiots, the radical, Marxists, because as an Iranian, we know the definition of the unholy alliance of red and black, which is, in Iran, 1979, they came together to occupy my country. And now we can see same things happen here in Australia. We can see the far, left and the radical, Islamists, they are together and they occupied, all the street. They chanting for, terrorism, for radicalism. And Australian government, unfortunately, they haven't done anything to stop that. And that's the shame. And that's the result, unfortunately.
And it's really interesting. You said how they don't want to lose votes. They don't want to lose certain folks. I agree with that. But when you see it, it's kind of like they are also losing the Muslim vote as well, because you see a lot of people on social media, you see a lot of the radical, pro-Palestine supporters in Australia who are also saying the Albanese government is, accountable in the so-called genocide that's happening. So I think it's just really a sign of weakness that even though they are trying to appease a population which sees them as complicit in genocide. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, that's absolutely the case. But obviously, they want to be smart. The government wants to be smart. So a good example is recognizing Palestinian statehood, which it stupidly doesn't mean anything. But that is there to please the Palestinian vote, right? So they'll do that to sort of find some common ground with the other side. Meanwhile, you have the radical Islamists, absolutely, who are like, no, we want to abolish Australia. We want to establish Sharia law. We want to eradicate the Jewish diaspora. We want to eradicate the Jewish state. And obviously, the Australian government, they want to come to terms with these people because they know how radical they truly are. And by declaring the statehood for Palestinians, it won't please the radicals, obviously, but it'll please a huge chunk of the what we'd call useful idiots. Yeah. So as we saw during that point in time, when they recognized Palestinian statehood, many of these Marxists and whatnot, yeah, they were happy about it. So for a momentarily point in time, that they would have been like, okay, we trust the Labor government in place today. So in a way, yeah, they have to play the balance game of politics when it comes to votes and whatnot.
Yeah, unfortunately, after 7th of October, give, the bonus to Hamas, the terrorist organization, by recognition of the so-called Palestine. That's a big mistake. And we can see it didn't, just help the radical Islamists to settle down. Okay, if 7th of October help us to, recognition of the Palestine, maybe more violence, more terror attack, we can get, more, appeasement from the leftist government in the Western, communities, Western, countries. And yeah, as an Iranian...
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just really sad and disappointing that the Albanese government is gambling on Australia's national security and gambling on Australian lives to score a few political points. I mean, that's just pathetic. I don't think there's any other word that can describe it. Anyway, so
No.
no, you were gonna say something. Go ahead.
Just quickly, like the way I see it is like if we have a spectrum, okay? The government, it is their job to ensure those so-called radical Muslims, whatever you want to call them, Islamists, jihadists, it is the government's responsibility to drag them up to us on par with us, normal, societal, civilized individuals. It is not their job to drag us behind and take them towards where they are. And that is what they're doing by having us slaughtered, by having people being worried to go out in the streets, being worried to criticize an ideology, being worried for simply being Jewish. That's disgusting. We live in Australia. Australia has some of the highest populations, if not the highest, of Holocaust survivors. Over 100,000 Jews here. They ought to be protected.
Of course, yeah.
I want to just, as Alice said, the radical Islamists should be just, part of our community. That's why, someone like me, as an asylum seeker, fled Iran, came to Australia for Australian values. I didn't want to come here and see same things happen here as well, because Islamic regime forced us, when I was just 7 years old, the first day in school, to burn the Israeli flag and chant death to Israel. And that's like a trauma. Why? Why we have to just chant to the people in different countries, death to Israel, death to UK, death to USA? And that's
Should
why,
they be your enemy?
Yeah, I didn't want to be part of that ideology, the death cult. That's why, finally we were opposed, the Islamic regime, but we couldn't live in Iran anymore. So we had to escape, come to Australia, seek asylum, to just see the normal, the Australian values, lifestyle. But unfortunately, same things happen here. Same, gas the Jews, even worse than Iran, to be honest. Honestly, in Iran, no one say gas the Jews. That's very, the next level of the anti-Semitism. And Australian government, unfortunately, they didn't do anything. That's the problem. That's the question. Why? Why? We ask you, we warn you, but you didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. So
mentioned an interesting dynamic I just want to quickly mention. Within Iranian society, everybody is so progressive and peaceful and loving and compassionate and benevolent. It is the IRGC and the Islamic Authority who rule and occupy Iran who are the most anti-Semitic, anti-human, anti-humanitarian, anti-life individuals. Here in the West, both Australia, Europe, America, and Canada, and the West in general, you have these radical Islamists within society, and the authorities are pleasing them. Once we understand that dynamic, we will come to acknowledge that we are in a deep mess if we don't take this seriously enough. And we say this as Iranians who know it the most.
Yeah, because we've lived through it. We've seen the pattern, how it develops. We've seen how it occupies a country and, turns it into ruins. We're just warning them that, hey, look, we've seen this happen in our own country. Do something about it. And unfortunately, nothing has been done. But as Hessam said as well, like, the attack on Sunday was very predictable. Okay, it could have been predicted from everything that was happening. ASIO raised the terror level to probable. It was very predictable. We have a few videos that we want to play.
Yeah, actually, they say that 8th of October, just one day after 7th of October, before Israel do anything.
Exactly.
Israel still was dealing with the terrorists inside the Israel, and they started just chanting. Let's
exactly. That's an important point, because it wasn't like Israel started the counterattack and they were protesting that. No, Hamas attacked and they came out to protest and started saying all these anti-Semitic chants.
Yeah,
let's have a look.
That's a ISIS flag, the black flag. Yeah.
I mean, this is Sydney. For God's sake, this is Sydney. It's
It's
just
not the
really
Sydney
hard
I
to
grew up in.
fathom. It's really hard to fathom, and it's really hard to understand. And the Albanese government did nothing, absolutely nothing. Isn't ISIS a declared terrorist organization?
Yeah, 100%. Al Qaeda, ISIS,
So isn't
Uh,
displaying the flag a crime under federal law?
100%.
so from what I've seen, uh, certain clerics have come out and declared, because so the police have pulled up on these different flags, be it the Taliban flag or the ISIS flag, and they're similar in the sense of the Arabic writing, but they're different in colors. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And the font,
But
actually, the font is literally different
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
What it essentially is, it's the Shahada. So, one and only God,
Yeah,
and
La
Muhammad is
ilaha
his
illallah
messenger.
Muhammad Rasulullah. That's it.
Yeah, so for them, the way they proclaim it in their argument is like, this is just a shahada. This isn't a call to terrorism, and as a result, it seems like the enforcement
Cannot do anything.
lets them get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just say, about, my, when I was just kids in Iran and in school, and just we had to, study Islam, because my country, Islamic Republic of Iran. So no one can not say, no, this is not Islam. No, this is Islamic Republic. So as I said, they forced us to burn those Israeli flag, US flag, and actually UK flag. And it's about, I was just 7 years old. So
Any flag you didn't burn?
What's that?
Is there any flag you didn't have to burn?
Right, yeah. For,
What about the Aussie one?
no, maybe, yeah, the
Oh,
UK
they're
one.
burning the Aussie one here.
Yeah,
They're burning the Aussie
exactly.
one.
Yeah, they've got enough people in Australia to burn the Australian flag. That's it. So about Islam, so my family, they are all Muslim. So you cannot, blame me. I don't know anything about Islam. So 1400 years ago in Saudi Arabia, Muslim people start war with Jewish people. And when they chant, Khaybar, Khaybar, Ya Yahud, it's exactly about 1400 years ago, the war between Muslim and Jewish people. We were in school when they told us Imam Ali, the first Imam in Shia, he killed 700 Jewish people in one day, just beheaded of them, and just the woman and all daughters were slave, but all the men and boys, they were beheaded. So
and they're proud of that. They say that with pride.
Khomeini,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ayatollah
Yahud.
Khomeini, in one of his speech, he said, Islam needs blood. Islam is not just peace. Islam is violence as well. And he referred to this event, actually, Ayatollah Khomeini. So they are they know exactly what's Islam. You cannot say, no, they don't know, what's the real Islam. But the point is, if someone bring Islam as an ideology, as a political ideology, to be honest, I'm not feeling safe. As I said, my family, my mom, my grandmother, they are Muslim, they pray, but that's very personal faith inside the house. But if someone put, Islam as an ideology in his social media and just claim he's Muslim, he proud to be, Islam is Sharia law, it's not Islamophobia. If I said I'm not feeling safe, all of the torture and trauma I have, this is not just phobia. That's the live experience. So you cannot blame me, or you cannot say anything about radical Islam or political Islam. No, that's my live experience. Millions of Iranian has got same, experience. Women getting killed because of hijab. So if someone, and that this is by Islamic Republic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what I find just absolutely ridiculous is that some of these useful idiots in the West think that they understand Islam better than the people who were either born in the region or Muslim scholars. You know, when Muslim scholars come out and say, like, talk about the story that you say, believe them. Why are we not believing them? Why are we so persistent to have a friendly version of Islam which doesn't exist? True Islam is what we saw on Sunday. Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahud. That was what we saw and witnessed on Sunday.
Just say a few things. This is for 1400 years ago, and fair enough. 1400 years ago, it was like that. Middle of the Saudi Arabia, it was just killing, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to apply Islam, Sharia law, now in 2025, it happened on the Bondi Beach. Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahud. So let's believe them when they say we're going to kill the Jews. Let's trust them, because they are very honest. They're going to say whatever they want. They're going to do. So let's trust them. Yeah, okay, you're going to gas the Jews, kill the Jews, and blah blah. We as a community, as a society, as a government, we shouldn't let them to do that. That's
part of the problem. Part of the major problem that's not talked about enough is that they literally view as the Prophet Muhammad as the most perfect personification of what a man should be. And if that's the case, if we apply that logic today, then Sunday was applicable, entirely justified and applicable according to their own logic, I'm saying. So yeah, everything that you're saying, and I thank you for saying that, actually, because that is Islam. The closer you get to Islamic ideology, the closer you get to what happened on Sunday. Good people with pure intent, secular, peaceful Muslims are secular, peaceful individuals in spite of the Islamic ideology. But Islamists and jihadists act out of violence and hate because of Islamic ideology. These useful idiots need to understand this, because if they don't, they will be the first to line up against the wall once the Islamists take supremacy.
It's just like what happened to the left in Iran. They helped with the revolution, and they were the first people that were executed.
Yeah, exactly. Unholy alliance of red and black. Red was, the fall lefties, and Khomeini, just after a few months, when he had enough power, he said, we need only Muslim. We don't need nation. We don't need, we need just Islam and Muslim. And they had 3 minutes court, all the lefties. Do you believe Islam or no? If they say no, okay, execution. And 7,000 people in just a few days, they were, executed by Islamic regime. And honestly, they're going to do same in everywhere if they're going to get the power. So there is another video. Let's just watch that one as well. And that one is exactly in just one day after 7th of October.
I'm smiling and I'm happy. I'm elated. It's a day of courage. It's a day of happiness. It's a day of pride. It's a day of victory. This is the day we've been waiting for. 75 years of occupation. 15 years of blockade! What yesterday happened was the first time our brothers and sisters broke through the largest prison on earth! Occupation is the cry! Occupation is the cry! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
It's almost like they were announcing their plans for Sunday, You know, when we see that, they were saying what they were going to do. Why are we
They were
surprised?
proud of 7th of October, so they're going to have 7th of October in Australia.
You know, when you have an ideology like that inside the community, and when you have people who are proud of a massacre which even I don't think animals will be able to do something like that Hamas did on 7th of October. When you have people like that in the community that praise that massacre,
Raping, killing
babies,
just put the babies in the oven and
it's
just
like,
burn them alive. Oh my God, I don't know.
What were we expecting? Albanese Prime
These
Minister,
people, these people are ideologically driven. They're sick.
Yeah.
Like that, it's sick. You cannot change that. And that's another problem that a lot of these useful idiots have here. They think by bringing in ISIS wives, we can de-radicalize them. You cannot reform cancer. Once the cancerous cell is spreading, you have to kill it. You cannot de-radicalize it. You cannot reform it. Because if you expect a cancerous cell to just eradicate itself, vanish by its own, miraculously, you're going to die. You're in deep trouble. In the same way how this ideology spreads.
Yeah, and it's not going to be just only about Jewish. It's just the beginning. They after that they're going to go. They've got something like that. We go first for Saturday people and then for Sunday people. Yeah. And unfortunately, as I said, this is about the ideology for 1400 years ago, and probably that time. Maybe it was the way to
we don't know. We haven't. I haven't lived.
But you have power. You attack somewhere else. You force people to convert to your religion. But unfortunately, because Islam is the only religion, its prophet has got government. No religion was like that. So because they have some like a module to just look at it and say we're going to have same. That's why they've got Sharia law. That's why in Iran, if someone steals something, they cut the hands, and it happened just a few weeks ago. And imagine that, that's the Sharia law. When the woman doesn't have the proper hijab, they're going to kill woman. And
Islam. A lot of people aren't gonna like this, but Islam is a political ideology in nature.
Yes.
Okay, let's not confuse it with a peaceful religion that can. I like what Ali said. The peaceful Muslims, the secular Muslims that live within us. Okay, we have nothing against them.
Ahmad al-Ahmad.
Exactly, but they are secular despite their religion.
Just let the audience know Ahmad al-Ahmad, the guy.
Ahmad al-Ahmad, the hero that disarmed one of the shooters, one of the perpetrators on Sunday at Bondi Beach. He was a Muslim. And we have nothing. It's not like we have something against all Muslims. What we are saying is that Islam, the ideology at its purest form, is political and dangerous. The people who are Muslim and they are living among us, they are peaceful despite of their religion. It's not like they are peaceful because of their religion. The terrorists, they commit terror because of Islam. That's a major difference. That
if you really follow Islam as a political ideology,
exactly.
Yeah, you can do whatever to just export Islam, as a religion.
Because it's permitted. It's permitted for you to kill in the path of Islam.
Yeah.
It's part of the ideology. They were grown up. They were taught while they were being developed that if you kill an infidel, you're going to go to heaven. So that's just part of their ideology. Anyway,
yeah.
Is there any more videos which we want to play, Hassan?
Ali, do you have anything to add or?
Out of the three prophets of the three Abrahamic religions, only one of them was violent. The other two were peaceful. Do you want to take a guess which one?
Yeah, I'm victim of that actually. Yeah, as I said, I saw in front of my eyes 2009 when there was a protest in Iran. that we called it a green movement. I saw that, the Islamic regime, militia killed just young man in front of me when I wanted to put his dead body inside the car to just drive him to the hospital. My hand was full of blood, and that moment changed my whole life. And that time, even still, I practice. Still just, but I said, okay, hang on, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. They claim, they represent the Islam and God, Allah, but they're killing innocent people in my country because they just want just basic human right, just little bit freedom. That's it. But they start killing us, and it keep going. 2019, 2022, 700 innocent people just 3 years ago, including 70 children. And yeah.
What makes you an infidel? And as long as you're an infidel, you're justified to be killed.
Yeah, I wasn't safe in Iran when I didn't follow and practice Islam anymore. That's why, I had to leave Iran and just find somewhere to be safe. Now here we go. Same.
You know what? I've spoken personally to many of these Islamists, especially the ones that do the street dawah in Sydney City. I've talked to them and I've asked them, I'm an apostate and I'm a blasphemer. I criticize Islam and I've left Islam. Should I be killed? They wouldn't say yes straight to your face, but they play with their words and they say, yep, if Sharia law was established under a legitimate emir, he will make the judgment. And you keep asking them, eventually, once you corner them and they'll admit, like, yes, apostates should be put to death. That is Islamic law. Infidels should be put to death. That is Islamic law. Period.
Yeah, so I have another videos about Intifada, from river to the sea. When we ask the useful idiots, which river, which sea, do you know? I don't know. Do you know where is Jordan? Do you know where is, do you know where is Gaza exactly? Oh yeah, Gaza has been, surrounded by Israel. No, Gaza has got, the border in the south with Egypt. Why Egypt doesn't open the border? Why there is the border is more secure than the Israeli side? You don't know anything about the Middle East. You don't know anything about the history of the Israel-Palestine. You don't know Israel has been mentioned in Quran 47 times and 0 Palestine. That land, it was, belongs to all the Israeli. Even the Allah said this is Bani Israel land.
Yeah, not Bani Palestine. It was Bani Israel.
Allah is a Zionist. Allah was the first Zionist. Even before Cyrus the Great. No, he wasn't. But yeah.
No, honestly, Allah was Zionist. If you read the Quran, maybe the half of Quran is all about Bani Israel. It's all about Israel, It's all about Jewish people. And Islam, 50% is just, get everything from Jewish people and ask the Jewish people to convert to Islam. That's the history of the Islam. Muhammad asked the Jewish people to convert to Islam and they said, why? So we have a religion. And where is your temple? And Muhammad just point the Jerusalem. And they said, oh, hang on, that's our temple. And then Muhammad changed it to Kaaba, Mecca. But anyway, I want to say, just live peacefully, Don't go for history because Jewish people, they were there for thousands of years, And as you said, 2,500 years ago, Cyrus the Great helped them to just be free and go back to the Israel and just rebuild the,
First Zionist.
Oh,
I love the part Allah is a Zionist. I'm gonna enjoy reading the comment section.
Someone said Allah is gay. Someone say Allah is Zionist. So it depends to the radical,
I'll tell you what. There was a comedian. You may have seen him, Ryan Long. He's hilarious. He said Allah was probably gay because like he was so flamboyant, very funky gay. So he didn't want anyone else to be gay. He wanted to be the only one. That's why he wanted to, slaughter all the gays. So he wanted to be gay himself. Everyone else, no. I found that
So
hilarious.
I wanted, just play that video and Intifada. So Intifada, it means exactly what happened on, Sunday.
That was Intifada. They globalized
Yeah,
it.
the globalized one. Yeah, because the
Well,
original
in
one.
the process of, like, it's
Yeah.
not officially
Yeah,
done, but yeah.
it's the when they yell globalize the
Yeah,
Intifada. Let's have a look.
There is only one solution. Anti-father revolution. Anti-father revolution. There is only one solution. Anti-father revolution. Anti-father revolution. Anti-father, anti-father. Anti-father, anti-father. Long live the anti-father.
Anyway, yeah. So why they were free to say that? That's honestly Intifada. It means killing Jewish. Why? That's honestly. I want to ask I'm proud to be Aussie now. And this is my country. This is my duty to look after my second home because this home gave me a lot.
Well, it's part of your allegiance as a citizen to protect your nationhood.
Yeah, and
And a
why
lot of
in my
Australian
country,
citizens aren't doing that.
why in my country they chanting kill the Jewish? I don't want to see that. I want to stand up and say you cannot do that to this my beautiful home now. Because the first one was destroyed by this ideology. No one is safe in my country anymore. That's why I left my family, everything I had, and came to Australia to feel safe, to live based on Australian values. Killing Jewish is not Australian values. It shouldn't be allowed in Australia.
It's not human values. Like even like, okay, if you say someone says I don't care about Australia, okay, are you a human? Do you have basic human decency? How is yelling and chanting in the street about killing Jews, how is that human decency? How is that in line with human
Matilda
values?
was 10 years old. How can you just, see the photos? Because anyone who shout Intifada should be shameful now, to be honest.
Anyone who every single person who attended the Harbour Bridge protest, you should have a good look in your mirror in the mirror and really stop and think. I'm not talking about the Islamists and the jihadists. They're complicit. I'm not talking about the Marxists. They know what they're doing. I'm talking about the useful idiots who think out of their own empathy and good heart, attending such rallies, especially the one on the Harbour Bridge. They thought they were doing the right thing. I need you to take a good look in the mirror and have a hard think about what you're contributing to.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what
I'm
you
going
did.
to just keep going separate. I'll send these photos.
The photos of exactly, like all of the chants that the useful idiots were chanting in the streets, globalize the Intifada, Khaybar Khaybar Ya Yahud, all of the chants that they were doing. This is the result. Okay, Sunday was the result, and that's the pictures from the Harbour Bridge. You see the photo of Khamenei. It's like this was so predictable.
The nuclear scientists of Islamic regime who wanted to just build the nuclear bomb for Islamic regime to destroy Israel, they've got photos of that guy, the evil, here in Sydney. Why?
You also had many clerics. One of the clerics attended the Hassan Nasrallah's funeral. He was at the front. He was at the front of the rally. There's so many different examples of these clerics who are clear Islamist sympathizers. They are Islamists themselves, be it Hezbollah sympathizers, Hamas, Islamic regime. And it wasn't also just the Harbour Bridge protest. Obviously, the Harbour Bridge one was a prominent one because of its iconic structure. But it literally every single Palestine rally since October 7th, 2023, it has costed New South Wales residents well over $11 million in tax for police protection. And look at what it's resulted in. terrorist sympathizing, terrorist chants, and genocidal chants, rather, and terrorist attacks now. And this is just the beginning. I know we don't like to think this or say this, but this is just the beginning. It's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, man. The photos of Ayatollah Khamenei, the murder of thousands of Iranian kids, girls, boy, and that guy destroyed my life, my country, and that's why I'm here. And now I have to face same things again. Ayatollah's photos and Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Allah. Same things happen every Friday in Iran. But the IRGC terrorists, member, and now they are here in Australia. And Australian government doesn't want to do anything about terrorism here in Australia. Shame.
As long as they have money and bring in GDP and boost the economy, it's good, I guess.
They want to get re-elected. That's a really disappointing thing. It's just sad. Like as I said before, they're gambling on the lives of ordinary, innocent Australians just to get re-elected again. It's really disappointing. Ali, I have a question for you. Might be a difficult question, might be not. I don't know. Imagine you were the prime minister after October 7th, 2023, and everything that has happened was about to happen. What would you do? As a prime minister, as a leader, what would you do?
Okay. What I know needs to be done right now. Recently, the Australian government, only literally just 3 weeks ago, the IRGC was declared a terrorist organization. And that's only as a result of the terrorist attacks, even after us pleading for years upon years. Hizb ut-Tahrir is not declared a terrorist organization by the Australian government. That's a tick. 100% needs to be done. They had a meeting, Hizb ut-Tahrir members. They had a meeting, a conference a couple of weeks ago, I believe. It was supposed to be some like coming together, discussing how Gaza is the moral authority, moral compass of the world, and we need to learn. And they're basically subliminally implying, Islamist ideology. I'm not gonna say anything further than that, obviously, for legal reasons, but I think you know what the implications are there. Hizb ut-Tahrir is declared a terrorist organization in many nations, including Arab nations. Arab nations are taking this seriously more than the West. Hizb ut-Tahrir, Muslim Brotherhood was the very first Islamist group established after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, starting from Egypt, obviously. And so all these different Islamic groups, if you want to call it, branch out from the Muslim Brotherhood. That's why we call it the Muslim Brotherhood Network. So the Muslim Brotherhood is the father of that. And with Qatar funding a great deal of it, obviously. So Muslim Brotherhood, Hizb ut-Tahrir need to be declared terrorist organizations straight off the bat. There needs to be a vast investigation in many of these mosques that are being used for as sleeper cells and recruitment. Particularly one is the Lakemba Mosque. I know it's got high security and a lot of people aren't allowed in there to go and investigate. Why is that? Yet many of these mosques, and obviously there's plenty of evidence, not just in Australia, but also in Europe. I think last year it was, they found out many of the mosques in Germany were used for recruitment cells for the IRGC.
Yeah.
And so that is the case here as well. There is plenty of evidence for that. ASIO has clearly, explicitly talked about foreign interference from the IRGC, from the Islamic regime. So a great deal of these mosques and so-called Dawa centers, Islamic centers, need to be investigated. All the individuals who have been on the watch list by ASIO, straight deported. I think that's one of the biggest things as well. A lot of these Islamists, why are they still citizens? Why are they still here? Kick them out. Get rid of them, or put them in a cell. I don't care. I want my tax money going towards keeping Australia safe. If we have to put all these people in a cell, put them in a cell. Why is someone like Wissam Haddad, who is clearly been investigated by the ASIO, he's had he's had the ASIO look upon him for decades now, and he's clearly anti-Semitic. He's clearly calling for Sharia law in Australia. He's said it many times. He's a jihadist. Why is he out on the weekends in Sydney Town Hall Square preaching Islamism whilst young Australians are walking in the city and just being exposed to this stuff? These people need to be put in a cell or deported. I don't care. I'm sorry. And there's a great deal of them. We only know about a handful of them. There are so many of them. It is also the job. We need to get rid of this whole Islamophobia narrative. It is an absolute load of bollocks. This whole infringement of freedom of speech, like we can't speak up against Islam. Islamophobia, like you said, is a fallacy. Because it implies that you're either being racist or you're a bigot. But that is called a false dichotomy fallacy. It's neither of the two. It's a third alternative. You are criticizing an idea. It's an ideology. Islam is not a person. It's not a race. It's an idea. So it should be subject to criticism just like any other idea. Every idea should be criticized in order to determine what is the best idea. Some ideas are good, some ideas are bad. Human rights is a good idea. Nazism is a bad idea. And a great deal of
that's common sense, honestly.
I don't understand. It is beyond me that people don't understand this. The moment you say anything about Islam, all of a sudden you're a racist. Which race is Islam? As far as I'm concerned, the whitest person can be an Islamist.
My background is Islam. As I said, I grew up in Muslim family, Islamic country, Islamic school, blah blah blah. I'm not feeling safe when someone say I have to live under Sharia law, because it's against the humanity, against human right, against the basic of common sense. Because as I said, it belongs to 1400 years ago, not 2025. That's common sense. Honestly, I can't criticize that. And just I want to ask you, if you were prime minister, could you please look after Jewish community? They are so scared now, because I was in a Hanukkah festival in Brisbane at the same time when terror attack happened in Bondi Beach. And when they found that we were, me and my wife Azin, we were there, and a few Iranian friends, and mate, they are not safe in Australia, and it's not fair, to be honest. They've been here for ages, they're part of our community, and they started crying, and I couldn't, find any way to help them, hug them, and just cry with them, and they said it could happen here in Brisbane. I said, of course. That's the blind terrorism. They don't choose, and they're going to just kill as much as possible they can, and they're getting killed as well. Go to 72 those virgin or whatever. That's their plan. They are not just the death cult. But Jewish community in Hanukkah, they were just celebrating life, light.
Before I add a comment to the Jewish community, I think the last thing I'd add is, as a prime minister, I would highly encourage for peaceful secular Muslims to start speaking up. I'm sorry, but it is their responsibility to speak up, not ours. I, as an atheist, shouldn't be speaking up against Islamism. If secular, peaceful Muslims want to maintain a good version of Islam, the non-political version, and reject it in its entirety, you need to speak up. Because if you don't...
If there is more Ahmad al-Ahmad, now come up.
Great.
Just speak out and just condemn the radical Islamism. And they can say there is version of Islam. We should be careful of that. The political Islam It's not the face of millions of Muslim.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you'd have to do is reject the fundamentalist doctrine and the fundamentalist texts within the Quran and the Hadiths. You have to reject it, like, period. For example, in the New Testament, even like in the Christian Bible, slavery is justified, but Christians have matured to the point where they know that they don't want to justify that. I've never met a Christian in my life who says we need to use
They don't
slavery
have
again.
Sharia law. That's the point, man. Because they
It's secular
secularize them,
now. Yeah,
just separate,
yeah. But you don't see a lot of these Muslims saying this. And that's why, to be honest with you, I don't like the term moderate Muslim. I actually divide it in three categories. You have your jihadists, which are your worst. They conduct and incite violence. And then you have your Islamists. So not all Islamists are jihadists. Islamists might want Sharia law established. They might want all the infidels to be killed, but they won't actually conduct or incite the violence themselves. And then you have your peaceful secular Muslims. Don't ask me what percentage of populations they are. I don't know. I'm not going to make any claim. But as far as I'm concerned, many of them are not speaking up enough, and that's a sad reality. Just to quickly comment on the Jewish community. I mean, there's so much to say. I admittedly myself, because they're such a small population as well, I didn't grow up around them too much. But ashamedly, I have to admit, ashamedly, only after October 7th have I come to learn more and more about the Jewish identity and Jewish history every single day. Like, without getting emotional, I just learn how loving and compassionate they are as a people. And just yesterday, I was at Bondi amongst them. Following what happened, I'm sorry, I still watch them smiling and literally just singing and dancing amongst one another. Sorry, it was just
Same experience, during the Hanukkah festival in Brisbane, when
yeah.
they heard that they were just, to be honest, helpless. They couldn't find any way to just be protected. They asked Albanese for last 2 years, just protect us. We don't have any army here. We are Australian. Yeah, man.
My
Yeah,
point
you're
is,
right.
no matter what, like they always have their chin up and they're always smiling, and they are always, all they want to do is celebrate life. And that is the most beautiful thing of life, wanting to
They are the same
celebrate it.
situation of my people in Iran.
Yeah.
The Islamic regime government killed thousands of my compatriots if they say some things, against the Islamic, ideology. And hopefully one day we can get rid of the Islamic regime, and everywhere in the world we can see peace. We can see anti-Semitism is, going to be deleted from the, everywhere, every country.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
cannot reason with an ideology that glorifies death over life. So
That's
yeah,
100% true.
there's so much
Yeah.
to say, but I think I'll leave it as that as far as anti-Semitism is concerned, because like you said, anti-Semitism starts with the Jews, but it ends with everyone else.
Yeah. Well, Ali, if you run for prime minister, I personally will vote for you.
Yeah,
I
man.
won't be running for prime minister,
You have
but
my vote if you decide to do. I know we're running out of time. Just one last quick question. I saw this on Twitter a lot, and I just want to take I just want to see both of your takes. Do you think Sunday was an ASIO intelligence failure or government weakness? Do you guys think
first,
ASIO
yeah.
could have done more, or was it that ASIO delivered the warnings, but the government was too weak to act?
I personally think ASIO has done their job because they're an independent entity. They've done their job. They've done all their warnings. It is the government lacking of taking ardent action. So it's the government policy failure. It's
Even
not the
government
ASIO.
fueling
Yeah.
anti-Semitism, to be honest.
Exactly.
Anyone,
Yeah.
when you check her, actually, Twitters, just check Gaza. 200 tweets about Gaza, genocide, famine, and that's all propaganda. Give permission to terrorists to do some things against genocide, and that's the problem. Even it's not failure. They were just fueling the anti-Semitism as a prime minister, as a foreign minister.
Exactly.
They could do 100% better than that. Hopefully, they change their mind, because I can see Albanese is still saying just far right. He didn't mention anything about radical Islamism. Say that, mate. If you're going to fix it, just
Acknowledge it first. Acknowledge it
yeah,
first.
because millions of children getting brainwashed by this ideology. As far as Western countries, they said, "Oh no, we cannot say anything about radical Islamism. This is Islamophobia." So more victim, more people getting infected by that the ideology, and yeah, that's not right, to be honest.
Yep, exactly.
Did you notice his very first statement just when the attack happened? He didn't mention,
No Jewish community.
yeah,
He didn't mention at all.
nothing,
That's the problem.
nothing. It's
Yeah.
just like an attack. He didn't mention it's an attack against the Jews on the first day of Hanukkah. He didn't mention that at all.
Yeah. All the
So
time he said they cannot divide us. They divided us, man. What are you talking
us
about?
already. It's
and
They were
by the
chanting
way,
for terrorism every weekend, every Saturday, Sunday. They occupied the city and they said intifada. So what are you talking about exactly? That's the divided community and society. It's already happened.
yeah. And by the way, for anyone who wants to like accuse at least myself, I can say being far right or anything like that. I've always been a Labor voter my whole life. Like philosophically, I'm left leaning. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning. This is a battle of good and evil. I'm sick and tired of people making it about being left versus right, because you're part of the problem if you're doing that. Stop it.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, you're right.
Exactly. Well, Ali, thank you very much for your time. It was a real pleasure having you on the podcast. We really hope we will have you on again. Is there anything you want to say or something?
No,
before we
just
finish?
Iranian stand with Jewish community all around the world, including our home Australia. We can pass from these dark days together. We support you. We are just friends of you, and hope Australia is gonna be safe again for everyone.
Exactly.
Very soon we're going to see direct flights between Tehran and Tel Aviv.
Very soon. Very soon. That is an absolute dream. Yes.
Yeah. So just for our audience, my name is Hassam, and I'm Iranian monarchist, and I'm fighting for freedom of Iran. And one day, Iran is gonna be a free country, and you can come to my country and just see how beautiful is Iran and how lovely people living in Iran under control of the Islamic regime right now. But one day, my nation will be free.
To celebrate life as well.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you everyone for watching this video, and make sure you like and subscribe. We will put Ali's Instagram account in the description as well. Make sure you go there, check it out. Follow him as well. And thank you again for watching the video. Thank you, Ali, for being on the podcast with us. And we will see you all very soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.